So this is exciting. What don't they tell you about selling a brand? Do you want to start with a bit of an intro on you, your companies, and what you've done?
The short version is I started a sportswear brand in 2012 with £100. If anyone remembers football snoods, I was the first guy to sell football snoods. So all my friends are calling me the snood guy. It was kind of derogatory. And about 9 years later, over time that became TCA, which was a sportswear brand. And 9 years later, I sold it. So in 2021, I sold it, like I say, for a good 7-figure exit. And just before I sold TCA, I had heard a lot of stories where founders sold their company and then they were very bored and depressed afterwards. And so I thought I want to try to avoid that trap. So my strategy was to start another company before selling the first one so that I wouldn't be bored. The second one was Pott'd, is now Pott'd, which is home pottery kits. And the irony was I wasn't bored at all. I actually wish I'd never started it. It's just like taking up all my time. But the good news is Pott'd is now twice as big as TCA ever was in half the time. So that's an 8-figure revenue business now. And that's how we are today.
Any like personal interests in either of the brands that you started, or is it more like a market fit of what the market needed?
Get rich quick scheme.
Okay.
No, would you? The snoods thing was because I tried to buy myself a snooze. Classic story. Like went to JD Sports, they didn't sell them. Went to Sports Direct, they didn't sell them. So I became the first person to sell them, and that just morphed and evolved into a sportswear brand, which I love my sport. So I wore that product religiously for like 9-10 years, and then Pott'd is also stemmed from COVID. So like a lot of people, I found myself a lot of spare time. Me and my girlfriend at the time wanted to try to be more creative, not just be on our screens. So we tried tons of arts and crafts, and I was like, air dry clay is like really good fun. I could see it as being a product, and so yeah, that's how that started.
And were you always like building to sell, or was it just like an opportunity came up afterwards? During?
So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, with the first time around, I learned a very important lesson, which is the main mistake people make with regards to selling a business is they never think about selling a business until it's too late. And so like if there's going to be one takeaway for people here, maybe they're they've got building their brands, it's like a few 100,000, maybe 1 million or so in revenue. My advice would be to start thinking about how that might end before you're ready. So with TCA, like I was burnt out, and actually I got to breaking point. I was like, you know what, I'm so done with this. Let me just try and sell this. And it doesn't work like that. So you have to plan a lot in advance. And with TCA, basically, I just pulled out the fire, I knuckled down, and I managed to create a great exit for myself. But I see a lot of people in this graveyard now where they haven't thought about it early enough. And so that's kind of like, so with Pott'd, we've always built it so it's a good business, which therefore could be sold. And that's like what everyone should be doing.
Preparing just in case, or when the time's right. Like, what was like the biggest mindset shift that you made, or that a founder should make when they're moving from like building a business to like building something sellable?
Well, there shouldn't be a shift, really. You should be thinking about how that story might end from day one. Now, obviously, from day one and like in the early stages, the thing you're building probably isn't sellable because you're scrapping and maybe one person doing everything. There's not like an intrinsic like value and asset there that somebody will come in and buy, but you should have your eye on it. So the shifts that you would have to make if you didn't prepare like I didn't the first time, and you go to like a business broker and you think, can I sell this? And they say no. What they'll tell you is, first of all, if you're the founder and you're doing everything, why would someone buy that? Unless you're going to go and work for them, which is not what we signed up for. So you can't be integral to the business as the founder. And then that trickles down. You need like staff that are going to stay on, or even maybe your acquirer is going to have people who can take over. You need to have systems that can be replaced, so it's not dependent on any staff, not just yourself. Most of the time you need to be profitable just to even get on someone's radar. So those are a few things that you would need to think about.
And how do you balance like staying creatively fulfilled as a founder whilst also thinking like an operator or investor?
Yeah, so this is something that I've seen a lot, and I'm also speaking from my own experience. So at the start, you're doing everything as the founder. You're doing marketing, you're doing product, you're doing operations, you're doing finance probably quite badly if anyone else is like me. And it's fine at the start. And then eventually after, for me, it was like 4 years, could be longer or shorter for other people. You will get sick of it. And what you need to realize is at the point that you're sick of it is not that this is life. It's that you need to find out how to delegate. You have to learn to delegate and you have to outsource those things, because otherwise you'll hate your life and you'll hate your business and it won't be all fun and glamour like what we always thought it was going to be. So there's a shift that has to happen. Most people think it's like you've got a startup phase where it's scrappy, it's fine, you're doing everything. Then you've got a scale up phase, which is bringing in a team, systems, and growing. So there will be that shift, and it's up to you to decide when you're ready to make the shift from stage 1 to 2, and to just be aware. Because I basically bankrupted my first company. We were 300 grand in debt, and I had to beg, borrow, and nearly stole. I would have. I had so many loans, all my family members, the bank, PayPal. I was just lying, like saying I need to buy a car to dig myself out of that hole. And that's because I left it too long to realize that I had no clue what I was doing with finances and operations, didn't know what the word cash flow means. And so the advice from my experience is to try to work out when you can see that happening, get to the end of your competency, and try to not go too far without finding the right expertise.
Yeah, like leaning into your own strengths and letting the other people take on the bits that you find challenging.
And then exactly, like to answer your question, exactly, then you'll have the time to do what you're quite good at. And it's usually, founders are usually, not always, but usually they're the visionary, right? We like the creative ideas, we like the product. And if that's what we're good at, that's what we should, it's our job to make the time for ourselves to do those things.
Are you still being like the driver and the visionary for Pott'd in terms of like where you want it to go? Like what's next? Do you have like quite a big team that's reliant on you, or are you like the driving force behind it all?
So the other thing that you have to learn is that there are people that can do things better than you, which is really like, oh, really? I thought I had the best product ideas. I thought I really knew the brand better than anybody. And the reality is that as an entrepreneur, you're usually a jack of all trades, which is great at the early stages, and then you just become a bottleneck. So it took me a long time to let go. Like, entrepreneurship and growing a business at a real scale is all about letting go. If you want to look at the biggest companies on earth, like, do you think Jeff Bezos is looking at his like Hotjar account and he's not doing anything really? He's just got people that are really good at all those different roles. So I think, it took me a long time to learn that lesson and realize that I've got product designers that are way better than me now. I will still sit above and kind of give it my gut feedback, because I kind of do know the brand maybe better than anybody else. But no, basically I've got people that are better than me at almost everything now, which is what we want to be.
Yeah. And once you've sold, like, what's next? Like, how did you find that shift from like operator to like exited founder? Start another business.
Yeah. I think like the journey should be the reward, and it's so like a cliche, and like, no, when you're in the journey, you don't want to hear it. And it's just a weird paradox, because like you want to build something really big and successful, and then maybe some of us are like dreaming we'll sell the company and be rich. And that's our dream and that's our goal. And that's what makes the journey fun, because you're driving towards something. And then it's like similar to like an Olympian who wins a gold medal, and then they're like, now what? Yeah. So they actually enjoyed themselves more when they were suffering and just, failing on their way to the success. So it can like be a bit of a struggle like that. And I guess what Pott'd gives me, other than the chance to build another business, is actually I just love a bit more engaging on some of the softer sides of the business. So I was very like results driven with TCA, and I've had to learn to be a bit more just sit back and enjoy the process of what's happening. So like I'm a very creative person. I love working with the creators, these artists, these arty people. So I'm kind of finding a bit more joy from that. But you do need something to keep you busy. You do need goals.
Will you do it again after Pott'd, and do you give yourself like a timeline of I need to be out by this time, or are you a bit more relaxed with it now with this one?
I think this is why I was saying like the takeaway really has to be, you need to be thinking about how this journey might end from day one. And all that does is give you the options, which is what you want. You want options. So you might not think you want to sell your company today, which is fine. You just want to build one that could be sold. And when it could be sold, it could therefore then also be run without you. That's kind of the idea. So if you're building something that ticks that box, then you have all the options. So with Pott'd, it's like, okay, great, I'm going to build a sustainable business that's growing with a team that's executing everything. So if we want to sell it one day, we can, or if I just want to do something else, I can. So we don't have to decide right now what the ending looks like, but we do need to create the opportunity for multiple versions of that future. Otherwise, honestly, it's a graveyard out there. I know so many entrepreneurs that just woke up one day, they were sick of their business, they're burnt out. They thought, now I'm going to sell it, but it's too late.
And burnout's a real thing as like an entrepreneur, isn't it? Like you've got to find ways to kind of like manage that and be happy as well, like doing what you're doing. Like you don't want to drive everything so hard that you're taking the enjoyment out of something that you've started.
Again, it's so common. I know so many like that, but I think like, what is burnout? Like, I'm not sure we have an agreed definition of it. The one I like, which I read recently, is like, you get burnt out not from working too much, you get burnt out from working too much on the wrong things. And again, like, it's just the same point. You need to have people doing the stuff that you don't want to be doing so that you can spend time on things you do want to do. And then it's a lot easier to avoid that burnout.
That was good advice. Well, thank you very much. Excited to see where you take Pott'd and what's next.
Been a pleasure. Lovely to see you guys. Thank you.